Alright, so today I'm going to show you a demo of the HistorySoft automated history tour apps. If you go to the HistorySoft page, which is historysoft.com, you'll see this. There are a number of projects, history-related projects, science projects, that are many of which are still going on. But the one we're interested in today is this. It says phone apps here. They have all been now converted to web apps. So these work on a PC. Um, they work on an Android. I'm in the process of testing it on the iPhone, which it should work there, but I think you have to make some settings changes for that to happen, and should also work on a Macintosh. It's all based on features of the Chrome browser. So although other browsers have implemented many of these things, your best shot at getting all the features is by using the Chrome browser. So I'm going to select this icon, and there are 4 of these web apps now. We're going to start with Charleston and take a look at that one. So I click on that, and so now you're at a page. This is not the app itself, it's just some information which talks about the unique thing about the Charleston 3D tour is that there are hundreds of 3D pictures from between 1858 and 2013. Hundreds of stereoscopic photographs were taken of Charleston just before, during, and after the Civil War. So this app contains many of those. I have converted them to be the red cyan type 3D pictures, which you can view with the red blue glasses. And there's also 350 historical points in Charleston that are in this app, and it will talk to you. I'm going to go ahead and launch the app, and here we are. So if you're on a GPS device, if you're in Charleston, you can turn the GPS on with this button, and as you go by these markers, it will start talking to you, and it will explain what the marker is. There are also these little where you see 3D. That's where you have 3D content that you can also view. So and then some of the basic features. This is all Google Maps. So if you've used Google Maps, this you'll be very familiar with this. You can zoom in with the plus or minus. On a PC, when you're doing this, you can zoom in with the wheel, the mouse wheel. You can see you can zoom in quite close here. It's got also this street view. You're probably used to that, and when you come down here you could drop in the street. But there are also, where you see these blue dots, these are not Google 360 views, but views that people have uploaded. So it's off the street. So like, for instance, if we look at this one, here we are in, we're not on the street, we're in a parking lot and looking at this yard. It's a 360 view. So you can also do this, and you can exit up here just by hitting the back arrow, and we're back in the app at this point. So we can zoom out. You'll also see there's an overlay of where the 1861 fire occurred, and this did a lot of destruction to Charleston. It did more destruction than what the Union Army was able to do. And within this, let's try out one of these markers here.
Cooper, O'Connor House. Built around 1855 during the last months of the Civil War, several Union officers were confined by the Confederacy in this house. As retaliation for this imprisonment, President Lincoln moved 600
You can mute the audio by pressing this button, and but I'll just go over. Here's the web page that it brings out, which gives you more information about the Cooper O'Connor house and some photographs. And back over here, so as you hover over these markers, it will tell you what the marker is, the Cooper O'Connor house. Down here we have the George Bernard House, which is George Bernard was the photographer who took many of the really great 3D pictures that were here. Um, the O'Connor House, if we press the little 3D icon there, you can see we've got pictures from 1865 here of the house. It was on the edge of the fire, so this is fire destruction that's next to it. I also converted probably over 100 of the publications, illustrations of the period. I converted those to 3D, so you can also see that in 3D. Here's a picture of the O'Connor house today, which I took in 3D. You have it, so the same thing with George Bernard's house. There's George Bernard himself, the photographer. And there's a picture on the battery that actually shows a picture of a wagon that had Bernard written on it. So he took this 3D picture with his little business wagon down here. That's on the battery. There's his house today, also in 3D. So that gives you an example. There's lots of content in here. Of course, we can move out. There's Castle Pinckney here. There's a marker, 3D images of that. Down here, of course, we've got Fort Sumter, as you would imagine, has a lot in it. So if we zoom in, let's look at this 3D marker here. So these were some of Bernard's pictures just in April of 1865, which show the interior of the fort. That's what it looks like today in 3D. There's more. This is maybe a little older. No, these are more Bernard's pictures, but there's also some older 3D photos in here from in other areas of the tour that show you the scenes from like 1861. That might be, I believe that's where this one is here. Here's an illustration again that I converted to 3D, more of them. There are a lot of illustrations related to Fort Sumter. That's a real picture from 1865, I believe. And there's the cannon. There it is, 1865, and here's one today. There's another 3D view from today, more illustrations. There's from inside the fort, so this was in April of 1861. You can see there's already quite a bit of destruction at that time. And there's one also from April 1861. More damage to the fort there on the outside wall. Here's the outside wall today. There's a picture which actually includes the governor in Wade Hampton III, who would later become the governor and was a general in the Civil War. So that's Charleston. Yeah, you can, of course, we got more than, if you come over here across on the other side, this would be Fort Moultrie.
On November 15, 1860, Major Robert Anderson arrives in Charleston and takes command of the Charleston defenses. He makes Fort Moultrie his main base of operations.
So that's Fort Moultrie. You do the 3D. There's a lot of 3D photography of this from 1865. There it is today, that same view. So I'm just giving you an idea of the amount of material that went into this. This was a major project. See, here's the views from 1865 and today. 1865 again. There's some illustrations converted to 3D. So, okay, so that's kind of the Charleston tour. Now we're going to go back and look at the Three Rivers Tour, which is in Columbia, South Carolina. And we will launch it. I believe there's over 300 markers in this tour and growing. It also includes some icons here that include, like in this case, it was the Civil War bridge story done on History Detectives of PBS, the most popular episode of that season that it was done, season 7. And that's where we solved the location of the old Confederate bridge and where Sherman crossed into Columbia. So you can view that. You can click on that. It takes you up to the video where you can play it. So you can do that also on your phone. So once again, we got different areas. It starts at the top of the Broad River, the Columbia Canal at the Broad River Dam. And you can click on these.
In the early 19th century, the Bull Sluice Canal started here and ran south for half of a mile.
And once again, you can do street view. You can drop it on the street. Here's a point that I added. There I am with my dog. And there's the Broad River. That's the diversion dam there. And this is a little bit off of the path, the Three Rivers Greenway path, but it's easy to get to. And of course you can zoom out here, zoom in closer if you want to. And in fact, in this view you can actually rotate it. If the imagery is available, you can come over here and get different angles. And we also have stories from the state newspaper. Most of these were written by Joey Holloman. A Bridge to Somewhere, which is more of the history work that we've done. You can move to different areas. It goes all the way down to the clay pits down in Casey, just off the Congaree River, and really beyond that. It also includes the Timmerman Trail and all around Fort Congaree 1, these markers. These are still being worked on and added to. And if you go out by the Riverbank Zoo, I've just recently added probably well over 100 new markers for the Saluda portion of the river walk, which goes all the way up to I-26. And again, keep in mind, if this is on a mobile phone and you're on the Three Rivers Greenway, you would press GPS on and it will talk to you as you get to each one of these markers, and you would also keep screen and GPS on. Press that too so that your phone will stay on. So that's Three Rivers Greenway. Just one other thing I'll show you as it goes down into Granby. We got more stories there of the archaeological work that we've been doing. This is our Granby dig site right here.
You are now standing on what was the main street of Granby. European settlement of this area began around 1718 when the British established a
So that's just more work, and then also part of our work included finding Fort Congaree 2, and here's a story by Joey Holloman on that. So that's Three Rivers Greenway. Let's go back out and look at under Lake Murray. This is my most popular app, and it includes, we'll go ahead and launch it, but as I call it here, it is the Lost Atlantis of South Carolina. Launch that, and you can see if we zoom all the way out, we've got some of the same little icons over here as you can see, but this is the area of Lake Murray, and it includes 3 different marker types. The fish actually have to do with fishing. A lot of fishermen use this app because these are points where SCE and G had placed old Christmas trees down in the water. That's one thing that makes it a good place for fish to hide. And then also just other related fishing places. Um, this little building, which is the old Lexington um, stone house, which is underwater in Lake Murray, um, in right in the 1930s, right before they um, complete, right when they completed the dam and when they were beginning to flood Lake Murray, they went out and recorded GPS coordinates of ruins, buildings that were still standing, and that's what all these little stone buildings are. If you know, click on one of these.
Underwater Ruin 67. This is most likely one of several houses that are shown in the 1900 topology map of the Columbia area.
So you can get that. There's some pretty interesting things under the water, including cemeteries, and then there's also historical markers. And once again, you can move to different areas of the lake. You can go all the way over to the west, where it's just beginning, and then all the way down toward the dam. And Lake Murray, the same kind of thing. You can do the street views. It looks like not many people have uploaded their own 360 views of Lake Murray. I believe there's somebody's house there. I think there was one near the dam, which would be down here. Let's see. Yeah, right here. If we drop one here, obviously off the road, but it shows the Saluda River just right down from the dam. There's the dam, and you can see kayakers are here, and they've taken this 360 picture. So that's Lake Murray. Again, this was probably the most popular of all the apps I did. And then I'm going to leave this, and the final one is Clarendon County Tour. This is mostly centered around General Francis Marion, the swamp fox. And when we launch it, it brings you here view of Manning. I think it's Manning, South Carolina, right here. And we'll start it up. And this one's a little bit different. It's got some street views. So part of this, one of the main reasons for doing this app, there were a number of murals that were painted on buildings related to the swamp fox. And so you can go in, and when you hit one of these views, it will actually show you that. It'll bring you down, and there's one of them there in downtown Manning. So you have all those mural views. That was the unique thing about this app. And then, of course, the markers also talk to you. Again, it's GPS and automated. If you're in the area and you're walking along, it will automatically talk to you.
During the American Revolution, around 1780, as General Marion and the men of his brigade pushed back the British forces in the Black and Santee River basins, it is unlikely that they thought of how they would be remembered by future generations.
And then, of course, we've got the different locations. There's Turbyville, Somerton, downtown Paxville. So it covers a pretty wide area. So that's a kind of a demo of the 4 different apps that I have right now, history-related apps. And again, to use these, the best, easiest thing to remember is historysoft.com. You go to that and you select the automated history tour apps. And from there you can launch each one of these. So I hope you'll enjoy these apps, and I hope it gets you out and about and seeing some of the places of real history here in South Carolina.